Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam Wolf, and in this video, I am actually doing the Squadron 42 I Held the Line trailer or video. It's a half-hour video, so it's not really a trailer, but it's like, I believe it's like more of an explanation and a deep dive into the technology behind Star Citizen, or Squadron 42 specifically, the single-player variant of the Star Citizen universe. Now this, I was going to do at first because I thought it was like a new trailer that they were going to show off, but as it turns out, it's actually kind of just a whole mini doc of, or a developer doc of what they're doing and, how they're making the game. And I guess, I don't really know the full extent, so that's why we're watching it. And it was actually requested by a lot of you guys who had watched the previous Star Citizen video I put out when they showed off the Star Engine. Thank you all for watching that. I really appreciate everybody who watched it. I couldn't believe the reception that I got, and it is fantastic to see so many people passionate about a game that they love so much. I think we need more of that, rather than people being so critical of things and being so negative. It's nice to see some positivity where negativity usually is. And I love the fact that a lot of you are so passionate about this game, and not like, so begrudgingly so. Because somebody comes onto the scene and they don't know everything about the game, you're not just jumping down their throat. You actually take the time to explain some things, and a lot of you did explain a lot. So in the comments, thank you so much for the comments. And I'm certainly trying to answer them all. I think I have answered them all up to this point. There's a few more that I have to get to, but I appreciate all the information you guys have been able to give me and educate me on the game, as well as, requesting that this video actually be made. Now, I do want to stress that while I do enjoy the comments, I do appreciate the comments, please try and, look in the comments before you leave a comment to see if maybe what you're about to tell me was already mentioned or asked or something like that, because I don't want to run out of, I'm running out of ways to actually answer the same comment in multiple different ways, just so that I know that everybody gets a response. So I don't want to start just leaving a one-word comment or one-sentence comment on something that was already mentioned, and making any of you feel like, oh, I just don't care. I do. I'm just running out of ways to actually respond to the same comment 50 different times. So please just keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that I have not personally played the game yet. And many of you have actually told me that it is very possible to play on my current computer setup. So, I will be taking a look at the game on a Fly Free weekend, whenever that might be. I think it's called Fly Free or Free Fly, whatever it's called. And taking a look at the game at some point. But I am definitely going to be upgrading my rig when Squadron 42 comes out, whenever that might be. So, I'm really looking forward to that. And definitely, keep in mind that I am a person on the outside looking in. This is my first look at this whole thing. It's completely an opinion, and if I know something for a fact, that I will state as such, but for the most part, this is just me seeing it for the first time, so be gentle. But without further ado, here is I Held the Line. Make sure you grab a drink. I got some water here. Sit back, relax, and hopefully you enjoy the video. Now, we already went over this in the Star Engine video, but I'm extremely impressed by the technology at hand here and what CIG has been able to do over the last 10, even 5 years. But I've always been interested in the single player because I come from a Mass Effect. I'm a big Mass Effect fan, as many people are. And this gives me such just dramatic Mass Effect vibes, and I love it. We haven't had a good space opera in a long time, it feels. Because I like Mass Effect Andromeda. Not a lot of people did. I didn't think it was great, but I definitely didn't hate it. But I think this could be the next, like, big space opera game. Whether or not the next Mass Effect comes out before Squadron 42, we'll have to see. But I feel like when this is released, it's going to be big. Music is... I said this in the last video as well. The music is phenomenal. Gives me chills, man. Gives me chills. UES Gauntlet. There's the Javelin. I've seen that thing in like level caps videos and stuff. Oh, massive ship. That little fighter ship though. That's my jam right there. And this is where I do know this part. They showed different types of characters you could be.
I know I just wrote you, but a couple of hours ago,
I think that's where this is. Yeah, there you go. Different voices, so on and so forth. Hairstyles, faces.
You've been battling with. I guess that last fight didn't scare them
off quite like we all hoped it would. Honestly, we've been out here so long, I don't know what to pull for anymore.
I just wanted to let you know.
I'll write as soon as I can. Stay safe.
Facial animation's not terrible.
Your loving son.
They probably are still going to have a lot of work to do, so I'm going to keep that in mind here when looking at things objectively, but the dead-eye stare is such a hard thing to get rid of. There was some eyebrow movement, so there was a little bit of emoting, but for the most part, it's a pretty, dead stare, which is, again, it's a really hard thing to fix.
Never gets old, does it?
But they've got a long time before this game comes out, I'm sure, so...
I used to do the same thing when I was first coming up. Post up to the flight deck whenever I could to watch the launches. Have you seen the F-8s up close?
I don't want to pause it too much, but like, this really bugs me. And if you're in the military, please let me know if this is true or not. Shouldn't he be saying ma'am and not sir? She's a female, so it'd be ma'am, right? Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And obviously if it was a male, it's yes, sir, no, sir. Like, it's multiple games now where there's a female officer that everybody says yes, sir still. And I'm like, shouldn't it be ma'am? Maybe that's old military way of thinking, and the new way is just sir, but I don't know. Just let me know in the comments. I don't mind being corrected. So, just if you're in the military, you've been in the military, are female officers still addressed as sir, or am I correct in saying they're supposed to be saying ma'am? That's a little bit of a pet peeve for me.
No, sir.
The thing's a beast. Nimble too.
12 maneuvering thrusters and 3 mains. It sure sounds like it.
Now, the main characters, with the big actors, their eyes are actually, those are pretty good. I think they have had a lot more work done on them. But your character is not, it's the main character, but it's a character that can change, so it's probably going to be a little bit harder to address.
Keep your head up. Took me a couple times before I got in.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I don't know all of the big actors. I know some of them, some from Game of Thrones, obviously Gary Oldman and Mark Hamill, like 2 of the biggest actors in the world. Some of the other ones, though, I don't really know. Apparently, some of them are for like NCIS and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. They got all these names in their game. It's crazy. It's pretty good.
Welcome to Cloud Imperium Games Manchester Studio. I'm Chris Roberts, and I'm pleased to announce we have just passed a major milestone. Squadron 42 is now feature complete and has entered its polish phase. To celebrate this milestone, we've gathered some of our core leadership together to share what this means.
A lot of people had mentioned that in the comments in the last video, that it's feature complete and they're just going to be polishing it up, which some of you have pointed out that could take a few years, which I know. I know it could.
Polish phase of Squadron 42.
I just want to make that abundantly clear as well. I worked in the industry for a short time. I got to talk to a lot of developers and stuff like that. I have some experience with the way a game is made, so you know, I do know that polishing, optimization, if it's done right, can take a while, and a year or two is not out of the question. I get it totally. So no worries. I know that.
Which means extra emphasis on ensuring.
So I know we're probably looking at maybe 2025 at the earliest.
This means focusing on the small and large elements of the game, such as dialing in combat encounters, but also looking at the feel of how you control your character.
Even at 30 FPS, you guys could see that.
Sure it's immersive
it's below 30, for sure.
We've paid extra attention to how your character reacts when in their ship, so that you feel like an actual pilot.
The explosions look fantastic, though. I love the explosions in most games. Explosions are cool. What can I say?
We've also seen huge improvements with closer engagement distances and more varied behaviors. And with our new precision targeting mode, the action has never been as close.
I just don't. I wonder if they'll support controller joystick for flying, because I'm pretty sure I heard that they were.
We've organized the project into self-sufficient strike teams. So we can
they got screen space reflections, which is not my favorite. I'm not asking for ray tracing, by the way. I'm not asking for ray trace reflections. That would be far too expensive. I'm just saying anything but screen space. Anything at all. Cube maps, planar reflections, something that doesn't look terrible. That's all I'm saying. I hate screen space reflections. They're so obvious when they're not done right. And again, early stages, hopefully that'll get polished up. So I'm just taking it at face value. And right now, screen space reflections look rough. Just because you can see it wiping in and out, and that's distracting. So hopefully CIG can be one of those companies that pulls it off really well. It's a hard thing to do, but hopefully they can figure it out. They're certainly taking enough time to do so. There's Mark Hamill, the man.
This allows us to bring all disciplines together with a unified vision of enhancing the gameplay by seamlessly blending it with polished visuals, final cinematic performances, and our ever-improving technology.
I think that it's really cool how Mark didn't say no to this, because he's worked with Chris Roberts on the Wing Commander franchise, and it's just like, it's so cool to see him just constantly invest himself into sci-fi, because it's such an important genre of movie, game, book for a lot of us.
Flight model for both atmosphere and space, which covers master modes, control surfaces, and our gold standard.
This dude is getting targeted a lot.
Our interaction system for both the world and your character.
Okay, radial menu. All right.
Improvements, allowing us to hone and craft environmental puzzles unique to each location, while allowing us to tell the story of the world around you.
Nice. I like radial menus. I thought they'd be a problem back in the day when they first started showing up, but I was like, you know what, this isn't too bad. Because normally it's a lot easier just to push a button, you know, push left, right, up, down on the D-pad of a controller, and boom, there you go.
The military multi-tool is an essential piece of equipment for
there have been some menus
all attachments
in the recent years that have not been great,
and allows us to create really interesting challenges,
and made me wish that radial menus were existing in that game. Whatever game it was that I didn't like the menu on. Nice physics.
This is the UEE Navy. Power down your ships and stand by for processing. There you go. Fuck off Nikoyo's eyes.
Ooh, them's fighting words, son.
Our scanning, targeting, and marker system has also seen an overhaul, allowing us to highlight only the essential information that you need, such as key objectives, mission targets, and high-level scan information, while keeping your overall view as clean as possible.
Skank!
I imagine they would also get put in support for flight stick and thruster. I imagine.
FPS combat and stealth, which has seen a suite of improvements.
Nice, man. I like
that's
clean,
realistic
dude.
scopes, and smoother locomotion.
Hold on. Let's go back. That is clean. Everything's perfectly sectioned off to where you need it, you know, and it's obvious as to what everything is. It's hard to do a good UI, a good menu system, because a lot of RPGs, I don't know if this will have RPG elements. I don't expect it to. I assume it'll have a progression path, but probably mostly for your ships and your weapons rather than your character itself. But it's really a lot of like open world RPG type games will just cluster everything together, and then some will give you a sorting button in your bag or, you know, what have you, and then most of them will just, you have to manually sort everything. This is nice. This is clean across the board. Everything's very specifically labeled. It's like, here are your weapons, your magazines, and how many you have, and your consumables and throwables, and the rest of your inventory. It's great. I love it. That's fantastic.
Weapon feel and balance, realistic
that is
scopes,
clean,
and smoother locomotion.
I love the gun
new
design.
And improved FPS radar and scanner that provides you an overview of the battlefield, but at the cost of ramping up your own emissions. We've also seen the
we saw
introduction of a
environmental
maelstrom-powered
destruction,
destructible environment, which adds a layer of dynamism to the experience.
We saw that in the Star Engine video.
That can now have hundreds of combinations of traits that allow us,
which is fantastic because it makes you aware, hyper aware of your surroundings, and like
awareness and skill.
There you go. So he said it anyway. You have to really think about where you're hiding and what you're hiding behind. Quick use healing. Nice. The motion blur is out of control though. Holy crap, man. I like per object motion blur, but then you couple that with camera motion blur and I don't know, man. It gets out of control. It's a bit too heavy. So hopefully they give us a slider of some sort to adjust that. I like motion blur, don't get me wrong, if it's done well. Not a big fan of camera motion blur, because as that's like the one that usually is done worst. But per object motion blur, which is definitely what they have in here, either per object or per pixel, I'm not 100% sure. I don't really know the difference between the two. If you know, let me know in the comments. But I like that. Camera motion blur, yeah.
We play and review the builds regularly and call out action points in each level from start to finish on where we need to improve the gameplay.
That's cool. See, I like games that use, instead of giving you just a HUD full of crap, they use things in the game, in the environment, to tell you what you need to know. So you swap your gun or your tractor beam gun here to whatever you need it to be, a welder or a tractor beam, and it tells you all the information you need to know. You do have this stuff down here for your standard inventory, your oxygen, or yeah, that's oxygen, your little mini map if you want, a compass, but it's very minimal, and I don't mind minimal HUDs. And I think it's ever since Dead Space, you know, not the remake, but original Dead Space, there's not enough games that do minimal HUD, or HUD that is integrated into the game itself, either on the character or in the environment. They need to do more of this, because it really, that sells the immersion a lot better. Oh, that looks fun.
This is an incredibly rewarding stage of development for me and the team, as the ultimate vision of the game is realized, allowing us to craft an experience that we can be really proud of.
Yeah. Ooh.
One specific area that I'm excited to dive in is the feeling of the player interacting with the world around them.
Patching you in.
As it's a core component of Squadron and really grounds the world that you inhabit. We've
Depth
made
of
sure
field
that
looks
any
nice.
Interaction in the environment is physically represented by a character animate.
I think, hold on.
Component of Squadron.
I think right here is a bit strange that the depth of field is near instead of far, because you're still looking at the wheel. So this might be a bit of a visual artifact or a bug where it's not supposed to be like that. The depth of field should be at the distance at this point because you're closer to the wheel, but that's a minor thing.
And really grounds the world.
And then you can see it transfer to the distance there, which is, I don't think that was correct.
Is physically
I don't think that was meant to happen.
Animation to keep you in the moment and fully immerse you in the
See what I'm talking
experience
about?
that we've created.
Everything you need to know is right there on that screen. You can see it.
Ultimately, this is the final phase of gameplay iteration before we fully transition into optimization and stability on the road to release.
Oh, man. I can't wait.
This is Colton. Come back.
This is the ship that I was talking about. Obviously, this is the ship that he's flying in. This is the ship that I was talking about in the last video that I want to play in. If I do go into the multiplayer, which I will be trying, like I said. As much as I like, you know, when it comes to RPGs and hero shooters, I like being the tank, the big guy, you know, at the front line, covering for my teammates. When it comes to spaceships, I like to be fast, you know? Don't get me wrong, love the idea of a giant, humongous frigate with tons of guns and, you know, can take on whatever. I don't see myself piloting something like that, especially with a crew of like 20 people. I just don't. I like to be in control 100% when it comes to spaceships, and that's sort of my thing. But I also like to be fast and nimble because it's the most fun. One of the more recent games that I played, recent I say it was like months ago, but was Chorus. Phenomenal game. If you haven't played it, by the way, Chorus is a great game. I definitely recommend it if you like space shooters and stuff like that. It is one of the coolest and fastest, most nimble flight experiences I've had in a space shooter. It is phenomenal. So definitely check out Chorus. But this is the ship that I'm looking forward to. And I think some of you guys actually left the name in the comments in the last video. I apologize, I forgot the name of it, but there you go. Is it on the screen here? Maybe I missed it. No. But this is the ship that I'm really interested in. It's such a cool looking ship.
Webb tried explaining how atmosphere processors work. Really shows how far we've come. Hell is she?
With the transition of Squadron to polish phase, we've had the opportunity to find additional moments within the existing narrative to add subtle interactions where appropriate. It's been tremendously exciting to play through these areas and find places to augment the mood, support gameplay, and further embellish our story and characters.
So yeah, man, I can't believe it. They said I've got to wait another 2 years before I can reapply. So that's why I figured I'd get a job flying in security, because that's, you know, I can get some hours flying in the cockpit and whatnot. Can't hurt, right? Exactly.
We've also been capturing pickups for our lead female player character, as well as wild lines for our various enemies that you all will encounter throughout the game on both foot and in your cockpit. These consist of a range of responses and reactions that you as the player can trigger, which has been the culmination of efforts by the gameplay and AI teams. I
actually went through, in high school, I went through a course to basically explaining on how to write a script and everything. And it's so cool to see that hasn't really changed much over the decades of people writing scripts and stuff. That it all looks so familiar to me. It brings me back to when I actually wrote my first script. Not a full script. It was just, I think it was like a 1 or 2 page script on Max Payne. Believe it or not. And this is before the movie even existed. I was such a huge fan of the original game, and they were, the teacher was like, hey, write a script about, whatever you want. in the proper format and all this other stuff, and I actually wrote a Max Payne script. I don't have it anymore. That was like forever ago. But it was a cool experience because you literally just got to make it up, and like that was the best part. And that's why I love the fact that this is such an original story. I love original stories. I like new IPs because it's just like you can do whatever. They could literally do whatever they want, and it's showing. The work is showing, and I hope that based on what we've seen already, that the story is good, and that I believe a lot of you actually told me it's a trilogy. I didn't know that, and that is awesome. I'm very excited about the fact that he's already got a trilogy for this game planned out. I mean, he had multiple Wing Commander games, so I'm sure he had that, that in motion when he was starting that as well. He was like, this is going to be a multi-game series. And I'm happy to hear that Squadron 42 is also going to be a multi-game series. So I'm really excited, and I hope that the story is as engaging as I've seen it already.
This means that you're going to have to tangle with some very smart and reactive bad guys to complete your mission.
I do like the fact that the weapons, the armor, it's all grounded in reality. Like, none of it is fantastical. It's all, I mean, so far, I haven't seen too much in the way of, like, magic.
At the heart of this,
but I'm sure the aliens have something to bring in that sense. It may not even be magic, so to speak, more of like science fiction magic. There you go, Gary Oldman.
So in 40 years from now, when you're surrounded by everything and everyone you hold dear, and they ask, what did you do in the Battle of Vega? You can look them in the eye and say, I held the line. Men and women of the Second Fleet, I am proud to stand with you today. Good luck. Bishop out. Nice speech. Any word from the recon team? Not yet. Well, let's get into position.
Throughout the polish phase, our team is taking every opportunity to push things to the next level.
Tell me you're expecting company?
This is not good.
The Cine team is focused on finalizing edit lock on all of our big action as well as all smaller character sequences.
I could have pulled this off of the Galactopedia.
Oh yeah, this is the improvement in lighting and stuff.
I think their solar mass calculations are wrong though.
And that is unbelievable.
Well, this is ridiculous.
How so?
We are now able to adjust our shot composition to final cameras thanks to recently crafted space vistas.
Look at that difference. And that I think they also had character improvements in here as well, because you could easily see it from the female character there, and even from Mark Hamill's character. There's before and then of course after. I think they definitely put in some character updates as well, or character model updates I should say, but lighting alone drastically changes the way a game looks. And I've said that for years, that you want a game to look better, change the lighting. Global illumination or ray trace global illumination, real-time lighting, all that stuff makes a bigger change than most things in the game. Shadows are great, obviously. Shadows do actually make a big difference as well, ambient occlusion, all these other things, but the biggest change, in my opinion, and maybe factually, I don't know, but just from what I've seen, makes the biggest change is lighting. It's you change the lighting, you change the mood and the look of a game instantly. It's unbelievable to look at this side by side.
Recently crafted space vistas and level art being content complete now.
It'd be nice to know how much of a shitstorm we're flying into.
More like a hellstorm, Blue. One you ain't gonna fly out of.
Shut up.
I didn't realize his eye was missing.
Ship that wasn't trying to kill me in days, let alone a hauler, let alone a Jean. So you can imagine my surprise.
Detailed lighting passes can be done on hero sequences so we can show our cast and convey their emotions in the best light possible. And we're making sure our cinematics are triggering as fluid as we can craft them so they form a coherent concerto with the rest of the player's narrative experience.
They're making a movie, essentially.
Mr. Wexler, this
I can only imagine.
Commander Colton.
I can only imagine the hours of cinematics that they have.
Julian Wexler, I'm the field manager of this little operation. Welcome aboard the Archon. What brings the Navy to this little corner of the universe?
We got you flying with Lieutenant Commander Colton. He's one of our best.
Game of Thrones.
As
Loved
others
him.
will share, this is the most rewarding chapter of development, which allows us to truly experience the visceral and oftentimes emotional moments that our narrative provides.
Where's the change? What's the change?
How did you handle it after Vega?
Wow. Wow. I mean, it's insane how doll-like, how plastic her face looks right here. The hair, you can see the dithering. It's not great. Obviously, this was early development here, or earlier. So they were just getting things started or figuring out the lighting, but then you can see the sweat. The hair is clean. There's like almost no dithering at all. No breakage, no breakup, nothing. You can see the sweat streaming down her face. The lighting is different. The camera's pushed in to emphasize on the character. Depth of field looks clean. Very strong, but you want focus to be pulled to here, not whatever's in the background. That's the point. Wow. Wow.
I'm not sure I handled anything.
Again, the dead-eye stare on your character
It
just...
helps to remember that stuff like this is supposed to hurt.
I don't know. I wonder if they'll be able to clean that up, because you see her expression. Very obvious what she's feeling. Very obvious what she's feeling. I have no idea what he's feeling. Because while, yes, you could put a lot of emphasis through the voice, there's only so much the voice can do when the eyes do not convey the same sentiment, the same emotion. And it might be more difficult to make it work on the player character because of the fact that it can change. The player character can be a 1,000 different faces based on the character creator. So, yeah, that would be... I could see why that'd be very difficult. I'm hoping that maybe they clean that up, but you can tell there's a massive difference between NPC and player characters here.
Remember that stuff like this is supposed to hurt.
I've never been good at dealing with problems I can't fix.
Well, this is one that you don't have to do alone.
That's good to know.
And you can even see that the sweat is still just
For the animation
falling
teams,
down her
the polish
face.
phase means refining the social aspects of Squadron
Hey,
42
Bender.
that occur between the various missions and getting the behaviors implemented across all of its chapters. Here we're dialing in the hangar to make it as immersive and believable an experience as possible.
Do it? Done. Okay. All right.
Well, that guy just walked through the hose, so that's not... Immersion breaking!
Anyway. For example, we're launching off a space carrier, but we still ground the feel in real-world actions. Refueling, repairing, and inspecting.
Calibration. I saw the guy in the,
Sure
in the
that your
cockpit
next flight mission
calibrating
is a
everything. That's pretty
success.
cool, man. Oof, that choppiness,
This
though.
means we're looking out for pops, hiccups, or awkward transitions, and ensuring that everything flows and looks like all the great mocap performances we've captured.
Let's ready some extra ice packs out of storage. Whenever gunners are on full rotation, you can...
And she's actually interacting with the stuff in the shelf. That's big. Because a lot of the time you'll see characters, like, in some games you'll see characters kind of looking through, just like kind of doing this generic, hey, you know, I'm sifting through crap sort of animation. Not really touching anything, not really bringing anything out. And if they do take something out, it's like something that doesn't exist in the cabinet or something like that. It just comes out of thin air. This is, she's literally interacting with the objects in that cabinet. That is insane.
I'm getting hurt.
We also have you covered in everyday life. The medical staff work diligently for their patients, whether they're players or crew.
And I think that's the reason I point that out is because that grounds it even more in reality, or just grounds it more in terms of immersion, just because of the fact that she's actually doing something as opposed to just kind of looking, you know what I mean? She didn't have to touch anything. They could have made her just look through and be like, we have this, we have this, we have this. But she went and actually picked something up and was like, okay, you know, how is this low? What do we need to, like, that's pretty freaking cool, man.
We really want
That's
you
a
to
whole
feel
other
part
level
an
of
authentic
interaction.
crew, an important part of the UEE Navy in an enormous universe of people.
I could see
going
people
about
with
their
flight
everyday
setups
lives.
just absolutely creaming their pants over this. Now you won't, obviously these are fictional spaceships, so you won't have exact setups, but I wouldn't put it past somebody to create something similar, because I've seen some flight videos on flight simulator setups where people are using stream decks, which I didn't think you could use them for this function, but people use stream decks for, you know, console functionality. It is the coolest thing ever. You guys are freaking smart as hell, dude. And people use stream decks to kind of like recreate the cockpit of a jet or you know, a biplane or something like that, whatever, a plane in Flight Simulator, and they use stream decks. It's just nuts. It's nuts. And I can absolutely see somebody trying to recreate a setup of their favorite ship in Star Citizen. Like somebody would go to the great lengths to have 2 maybe iPads to display something, if that kind of interactivity would even be possible in the game, to where you could link up 2 iPads to the game and you can kind of like, you know, do stuff in the ship with all these things. So it'd be crazy to see. I'd love to see it personally.
Ground crew, prep bay for takeoff.
People have way more money than I do, so
Hangar, ready for launch.
I personally want to get a
Takeoff approved, Baron 2. You have the ball.
a Thrustmaster, or what was that other one? It's like a $200
Ready and hold on as you're launched off the deck of the
I think
carrier.
the company's name starts with an H, but I forgot. They have a far more impressive looking flight stick for the PlayStation. Obviously, it would work on PC as well, but you know what's crazy is that I look at that and I'm like, we can go there. This is the old Todd Howard saying of like, see that mountain over there? You can actually go there. We could actually go there. It's insane.
We want you to
I don't know if you want to.
decide how you play the game.
That might not be a
Feel
good
as if
idea,
the
but
people you interact with
I
are
wonder if
in
they have.
that
Oh,
world.
they do. I was just gonna say, I wonder if they have light machine guns. Ooh, there it is. Maybe that's a shotgun, but it looks like they do have light machine guns, and it's my jam.
Like a lot of other weapons in Gemini's
Look at that. It's so pretty. Look at that thing. It's futuristic, but also has the properties of a gun. At least you look at it and you're like, there's the barrel, you know, the magazine probably goes down here, pistol grip and all that stock looks like it's from the Scar. Scar? Yeah. Yeah, like the Scar stock. Oh, that's pretty.
It has a higher rate of fire than most guns of its type.
He just points it at him. He even has iron sights. Woo! I did not expect the magazine to come out of there. That's sick.
We're working to support a feel of authenticity through world traversals, running, jumping, and climbing, interactions with objects and the environment,
Little practice range.
weapon gameplay, and enemy reactions.
It's interesting because they're not actually, I mean, this is far into the future, but they're not actually being super ridiculous with their weaponry. There's still iron sights on these things. Now, some guns might actually have holographically projected sights. I assume there would be, but they still have guns that are grounded in reality. Like, yes, you would expect maybe some holographic sights, or either in your helmets or on the gun itself being projected from whatever. But I like the fact that they're still saying, hey, realistically, probably still going to have some iron sights, which is nice.
As well as combat realities, such as weapon malfunctions.
Ooh. I actually kind of like that because back in the day on Far Cry 2, that was like one of the few games that actually did that, where your gun could jam if you didn't take care of it and stuff like that. It was as frustrating as it might sound like it would be, it honestly was a nice little touch, because in reality, that's what would happen.
Or in some close encounters of the more lethal kind.
Stab.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt in the morning.
All right. Well, they definitely got some.
As we
They definitely got some work to do on that.
continue to focus on the quality experience,
There's no blood.
we've
The
been working
knife came through his
closely
neck,
with our art teams,
clipped through it.
and it's
Clearly, it
been
went through
exciting
his
to
neck,
see
but
their environments
clipped
come
through
to
it.
life alongside us.
So they got a lot of work to do on that one, at least. But yeah, that's gonna be
While
brutal.
animation and design have
I don't
been
know.
populated
I
in
also don't know
location-
how gory they're gonna go with this. I imagine mature. So they're gonna go as realistic as possible. I assume, for the most part, within reason. You know, you're not like, unless you're shooting somebody with a rocket launcher, you're not gonna blow somebody up. But
Polish phase for my teams means making huge advancements
into all
in the
little
quality of
giblets
our
and whatever.
characters and
They might not even
We've
do
established
that
our
complete
standard
dismemberment just
recognizable
because of the fact that
characters
it's
like Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, and Gary Oldman.
because you know, creating little bits and pieces out of a character is intensive. I think it would be CPU intensive, but still, they're already doing it with the ship. So dismemberment on human beings or aliens, I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't know if they're going to go that route just because it might take away from what they're trying to do with, you know, narratively. You know, they don't want to go too gory with the game, but we'll see.
And we're now applying this to the rest of the cast and identifying any remaining tech requirements that need to be closed down.
All right, I'm gonna
Factors
back
like
up.
quality of our character. While animation and design have been populated in the locations, polish phase for my teams means making huge advancements in the quality of our characters and environments. We've established our standard with recognizable characters like Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, and Gary Oldman. And we're now applying this to the rest of the cast and identifying any remaining tech requirements that need to be closed down. The story of Squadron 42 takes you through a variety of diverse locations of varying scales and styles. We've shared glimpses of several environments before, and there's still plenty out there for you to discover.
Now, that I think that was your character in third person. I don't think you were following behind somebody. I think that is your character. I would love it. I don't think they're going to do this, but I would love it if you could play in third person entirely. Like shoot, run, jump, whatever. Like that would be amazing to me. You know, very Mass Effect type gameplay. I do think they're primarily in first person, but it would be great if they came out with a third person option for those of us who like that kind of game.
Several environments before.
Love the
and
look of
there's
that, by the
still
way.
plenty out there for you to discover.
Oh my god, just seeing
One of the main
that, just seeing this planet alone gets me going because of the fact that I love, and I said this in the last video, astronomy is like my favorite subject of all time. I love learning about space and the universe and everything, even though the numbers, my little brain can't handle that. I still find it fascinating, and I will never not love seeing, especially in a video game, a physical planet. Just the fact that I can go there if I wanted to. From here, like say I'm flying the ship, I can just take a left and go down to the planet and then come back up and do this again. Insane.
Challenges the art team has had to face during the development of Squadron 42 is ensuring the visuals are complementary to the narrative of the script. The mood and feeling of a space.
Oh,
is just
that
as
pistol
important
looks
to
so good.
us as it is making sure we hit the visual.
Have you noticed that I
CFG
like weapons?
Become known for.
I play a lot of first-person shooters, so
Good, we can't hack it from this side. Graves, we got a locked door. Can you give us access?
No, I'm afraid that's a negative, Steve. I would have to add you to our system to give you override permissions, and there's a lot involved in that. It won't happen quickly.
Okay, we'll figure something out.
okay, so that to me means that Mark Hamill's character, I don't know, based on that interaction, it sounds like Mark Hamill's character is kind of like not liked, at least in that particular instance, by whoever Graves is answering to. So they locked him out of, you know, any major administrative rights. Interesting. Not sure. I'm just taking a guess. I'm assuming that, you know, he's kind of like not liked at that point in the game or something like that. So Because he talked about, oh, that means I would have to give you rights, and I'm not sure I can do that. And it's like, oh.
By the classics of 70s and 80s sci-fi, but with a modern twist. We want
Space Odyssey
everything we
2001.
see to feel like it has a soul, its own personality.
Nice
and tells
callback.
of a history long before you arrived.
Excellent movie if you haven't seen
Flight
it.
spaces and their connecting tissue has
I'm
been
sorry, I
one of
can't
the
do
more
that, Dave.
unique challenges we've needed to overcome for Squadron. Developing our VDB tech to blend seamlessly.
Look at that
between
ship.
types
Look
of
at it.
diversity.
It's so angular and so pretty and so sexy. I love it. I love the look of this. This ship reminds me of the ship in Chorus. Seriously, like it's pretty close. It's not exact, obviously, but the ship in Chorus, I think there's a few ships you can actually use, but one of the ships in Chorus looks pretty similar to this. It's angular, it's sexy looking. Love it.
Spaces and into wider space vistas and planets has proved incredibly difficult but rewarding, ensuring that Squadron flows seamlessly from one chapter to the next without interruption.
Good, nice. I expected that to
Creating a
happen just because they
diverse
have
array of
the server
locations
tech
is
to do it.
essential to us. Our environments
Seamless
need to work from a
transitions
variety
everywhere.
of scales. We need to pay close attention to detail, whether we're working in a dirty engineering vent or navigating the debris of a dying star, wondering what may be around that
The
next
frame
corner,
drops.
or even who may live there. How would they have survived, and what state of mind may they be in? We've worked closely with our social teams in delivering a cohesive social experience when you're taking some downtime from our refined flight and FPS missions, or even missions of the more eerie kind.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, space travel is going to be one of the scariest things that humans are going to be doing, just because of the fact that it literally, you could be in the situation, obviously not us, but you could be someone in this situation where you have to go and explore an unknown location or figure out what happened to the crew on a ship, and you're in this ship with no power. It's dark, it's frozen over, and it's dead silent. All you hear is your own breathing. And that is creepy in itself. Whether or not anything's there to scare you or kill you, the fact that you're alone and it's dark and it's silent, that's creepier than anything. Space is a scary place, but it's also an exciting one, so.
We'll be introducing new space stations on a massive scale, all brought together and designed to be as tangible as possible.
Ooh, stop,
we
stop.
thought about their function, their age,
Oh, you ain't stopping.
and tried to ensure there's a
Did you not see that red
progression
light, sir?
style with each station as you progress through the game.
I think I said before, I really like the fact that the weapons and armor is more grounded in reality than being very fantastical, which is why
As you can see
this
today,
it makes this game more
incredibly
science
hard,
fiction rather than
ramping up
science
the detail
fantasy.
and quality to match the breadth of our vision for Squadron
And
40.
Star Wars is science fantasy, by the way, not science fiction. If you think it's science fiction, you're
I
insane.
know you're all asking, when can I play it?
Of course.
When we have the locked release date, you will be the first to know. Now we're in polishing phase on Squadron 42. You will start to see a lot more things coming to Star Citizen, as well as overall progress on the persistent universe.
Good.
The polish phase can take some time. We have come this far, and we want to make sure Squadron 42 delivers on the promise of being this generation's wing commander.
Hell
Now,
yeah.
even though there's only a few of us in this video, I'd like to extend a big thank you to all our staff around the globe.
Which I think some of you guys said was like
Soul and bringing Squadron
1,200
42
people,
to
which
life.
is insane.
And I would like to thank everyone in the community for your patience.
1,200 people working on one game.
People ask, what did you do in the development of Squadron 42? You can look them in the eye and say, I held the line. I'm proud to stand with you. Thank you for making this game with us.
Now, I never played Wing Commander. That's before my time, and while I do have them, or I have one of them on, like, was it EA's app or whatever? I'm not sure it'd be a game that I personally would be into, but then again, maybe, because it was a science fiction type game. These guys look badass, by the way. I just gotta say. United Empire of Earth, Second Fleet. Boom. I held the line. And I will hold the line when Squadron 42 releases, whenever that might be. So, I mean, I'm not going to go back and look at things and stuff. We're already almost an hour into the video, and, wow. I mean, again, any comments that I made about the frame rate drop, I know that it still needs work. So don't crucify me. I promise you, I understand that it needs work. I just point it out because I see it. I can't help it. Like I said, there are some things that I cannot unsee now. Ever since being a QA tester on, I was not a developer, I was a QA tester on a game that I made. I worked on Skylanders Swap Force. And if you look, my name's in the PS3, 360, and Wii versions. Because I didn't work on the PS4 or Xbox One versions. There's a lot that job really made me hyper aware of the little things that are broken, even in finished titles. And I have been very critical of especially of finished product that we're paying a ridiculous amount of money for, only for it to be broken. I can't unsee it, and it bugs the crap out of me that I'm this way, but I also like the fact that I'm this way because then I can be like, well, that doesn't look right. So, if it bothers you that I keep pointing out the frame rate, I'm sorry it bothers you, but I can't stop seeing it, and I can't stop commenting on it. But I know that it has a long way to go still. So, either way, I'm really excited. I'm very, very happy with what they're able to do. I might actually, as old as the games are, I might actually take a look at the Wing Commander series because, one, Mark Hamill's in it. Two, it's probably super cheesy. I know it's cheesy because it's got FMVs. And three, it could be good. It's also, Wing Commander's also a space-related game, so maybe I'll like it. I don't know. It came out before Mass Effect, and maybe Mass Effect was inspired by Wing Commander somehow. Not sure, but that's gonna be some old gameplay. Anyway, well, there you have it. We took a look at the I Held the Line trailer, which I thought, again, was going to be an actual trailer, but it turns out it's more like a dev diary, which is great. We got to hear from some of the developers on what they're doing and how they're doing certain things. It's fantastic. I love the way it looks. I don't really have much more to say. I said everything throughout the video, so let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. I know, I don't even have to ask if some of you are excited for this. I know a lot of you are excited for this as well as I am. Not just for the actors themselves, but just for another space opera that we need to take the place of Mass Effect, because we're still waiting on the next Mass Effect, and with the way Andromeda actually ended up for a lot of people, it may not turn out so well. Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed that EA doesn't screw it up again. And it wasn't even EA the last time. It was also BioWare, but hopefully BioWare doesn't screw it up either. But I'm super excited about this one, and I hope we get this one before Mass Effect. That way, maybe EA can get a kick in the ass and be like, oh crap, we need to make sure that we hold our end of the bargain to make a good Mass Effect game and bring the franchise back to true form. And I think seeing stuff like this should make them shake in their boots, because this is impressive. And I cannot wait for Squadron 42. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and please join me again next time for another trailer reaction of some kind. Whatever that might be. Might be another Star Citizen trailer, because he said they're going to be releasing more stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But until then, I'm Adam Wolf. This is Squadron 42, and I'll see you guys later.